This is Larry Jordan, the host of the Digital Production Buzz. The following interview is an excerpt from a recent program. To hear the entire program, visit digitalproductionbuzz.com. Lynette Kent is a professional photographer who travels the world recording amazing landscapes. She's also an unconventional computer guru, a demo artist, and one of the leaders of the Adobe Technology Exchange of Southern California. This is a professional organization for graphics designers, photographers, and artists. Hello, Lynette. Welcome.
Hello.
Lynette, what first got you interested in photography?
Oh, gosh, that goes way back. Just taking photos, and my brother was a pro photographer, so I started doing it as well.
By the way, for those watching, to see Lynette's work, because we're going to be talking about it, visit her website at LynetteKent.com, LynetteKent.com, and view any of her galleries. And you'll be lucky if you're paying any attention to us once you take a look at her photographs. Lynette, before we talk about your creative work, I want to focus on the business of taking pictures. You do a lot of international travel. What gear do you pack, and how do you work around airline weight restrictions?
Well, that's a challenge. I started out with wearing a vest with all these giant pockets, and my husband was also wearing one, so we were filled with pockets, as well as both our backpacks. And that would have worked, except that I'm 5'3", and with this big vest on with camera pockets that could hold a 70 to 200 2.8 lens, they kept stopping me, saying I was carrying an extra bag, and they wanted to weigh my vest. And the last time that happened was we were coming back from Scotland, and I finally agreed. I said, okay, fine, you can weigh my vest in addition to my camera backpack. However, you can see that it is a vest, and I want to take out my personal items, such as my passport, and also my money, because your pounds in Britain weigh a lot. Anyways, the lady behind the counter gave up and did not ask me to weigh my vest, which would have sent me way over the 12-kilo limit. So now I'm looking at what else can we do. We've got a new kind of vest that isn't quite so obviously a bag. And then I think one of the solutions is to really decide which lenses and equipment you're taking and get yourself a Sherpa like my husband. A 6'1" Sherpa really helps.
Well, remind him he's not supposed to pack any clothing. It's all supposed to be gear.
Oh, no, the clothing goes in the check bags.
There's you go.
Nothing in the backpacks that is other than camera equipment.
Well, thinking about that, what cameras do you prefer to shoot?
Right now, I'm shooting Canon 5D Mark III, wishful thinking on the 4, and just a variety of their L glass.
Which gets me to my second question. Do you have lenses that you prefer in terms of manufacturers and or focal length?
Well, actually, I love the 70-200 from Canon, except not the f2.8, which most people prefer. I like the f4 IS lens. It's much lighter weight, so it's easier for me to handhold and manage everything and to get it in that bag. And it's just easier all the way around. And it actually, to me, it feels sharper than the f2.8 lens. And then the other one I really love right now is my newest lens, my 100-400 version 2 from Canon. It's got incredible reach, and it really makes things, again, it's light enough weight that I can handhold it.
Are you picking Canon because it's from the same company as makes your camera, or are you picking it because of the weight, or are you picking it because of how it looks?
Well, looks is always really important, but no, it's probably because it's L glass and the reputation that Canon has. I do have a Sigma lens and I have a Tamron lens, but those you asked which were my preferred lenses right now, those were it. And then a 24. I'm still looking for what I want for a wide angle.
Well, I've looked at almost all the galleries on your website. Your Arizona cowboy is wonderful. The shots from Hawaii were wonderful, though I have a creative question for those. Okay. And the south of France just were liquid, which brought me to, are you capturing these images in camera, or is there massive Photoshop massaging going on after the fact?
not really massive Photoshop. I got very lazy when Lightroom came out, and I don't really work that much in Photoshop or even Lightroom. It's I take way too many photos, so I have to sort, and then I'm really just doing, double checking the white balance, of course. But I usually do that in camera with a color checker passport from X-Rite, and sometimes I create a profile for the camera, but it just depends. If it's a sunset or a sunrise photo, I leave it as it was in camera. As far as the colors go, I might remove a dust blur on the lens if I spot one, but I'm pretty careful with my lenses and try to keep them really clean. So try to avoid that. I try to avoid most post if I can.
Which is interesting, because there's a lot of people that prefer to work in post and just capture something and then manipulate it in post because they want more of a surreal effect. And you're really trying to do hyper reality, as far as I can tell.
Yes. Yeah, I like traditional, real painting and photography.
Thinking about that, your work tends to be outdoors. Do you do any lighting at all with your scenes? Are you shooting in HDR format? And if you are doing lighting, how are you lighting it?
Well, I don't I love it. I don't like to shoot people, basically, because I'm just really bad at it. And so I do like scenics, and that comes from my painting background. I did landscape painting and watercolors. And so I learned mostly to do that, and that's what I see when I look through the viewfinders. I'm seeing what could have been or could become a painting. And so I'm actually not lighting anything outdoors. I'm not. I have used a reflector, but nothing that's on those galleries.
Now, I noticed that in your image, you're still being able to retain shadow detail. I'm thinking of the window that's looking out into to a landscape and some of your foreground shots, and you're still holding detail in the sky. Are you using grad filters here, or are you using HDR?
I don't think there's anything on the website that has HDR, although I've done it a few times. I did get into the filters, the graduated ND filters, as well as ND filters, especially for slowing water and stuff. But I don't, no, I'm not. I don't know if you're referring to one of the ones looking through a window outdoors.
The windows were half open. The one on the right was a little bit more open than the one on the left. And we were looking through that, and we were holding the shadow detail of the texture of the wood of the windows and still holding the light outside. It looked like there had to be some light there.
There was light outside, and there was light in the room, and it was very gray outside. So even though the light outside is much more powerful, because it was dark and gray and a gloomy day, if it's the one I'm thinking of, the light from the inside actually helped. And then that probably was a little bit of Lightroom lightening to the shadows use. Oh, I do that a lot. I lighten up the shadows, but you have to be real careful because you end up with too much noise.
With the water shots that you're doing, you have such a liquid, molten, soft flow to the water. Is that a time exposure or something else that you're doing?
It's usually a long exposure using some kind of an ND filter so that you can do a long exposure, obviously. And the trick there actually is learning how fast the water is moving, and then is that going to be a 10-second, 5-second, 1-second shot? What is it going to be so that it doesn't look like foam and yet you have water movement, but it has a liquid flow? So I usually try about 20 or 30 of those shots and pick the one I like best.
But
the old
it's a
trial
fairly long exposure, 5 or 10 seconds.
Yes, it is. It depends. Like if it's a waterfall and it's just flowing, then you need to slow it. It's like cascading really hard. You need to slow it more. If it's a slow-moving waterfall, then you can go a little bit less.
Water falls slower in some places than other places?
Well, it depends. If you're at the base of a very, a 300-foot drop, the water looks like it's just pounding down, and it seems like you can go a little bit faster than you can if it's kind of rippling over rocks. Yeah, water, it's wrong to say that it flows at a different rate, but it actually feels like it.
With the shots you did at Hawaii with the molten lava.
Oh, yeah.
There was almost a lack of scale. I couldn't tell if I was looking at something which was macro or something which was huge. Was that intentional?
I was in a helicopter shooting with a 500 millimeter lens. So I was almost right on top of it.
Wow.
My legs were burning in the copter. We had an open door, and yes, it was hot.
Unbelievable.
We were about 15 feet above the flow.
I just realized, do you do your work principally on assignment, or do you just love traveling?
I love traveling. Someday I'll do some assignments, but most of these have been just for, because I just enjoy creating them. I used to use a lot of my own photos in my books when I was writing for Wiley Publishing on Photoshop. So I would use either the good ones or the bad ones to illustrate a point on how to do something. But recently, they've just been mostly for my pleasure.
Well, I should mention that you even sell these photos on your website, and I encourage everybody to buy 6 or 7 for Christmas.
Oh, that would be great.
Is
and
there
a series of cards, too.
Is there a market for photos online?
That I'm not sure of.
No, I'm just saying, are you able to make any money at all from selling your photos? Or is it really just a labor of love?
It's more a labor of love right now. I would love to sell a few. I think there should be some very large ones put into some big conference rooms in some important companies' walls. That would be great. But right now, it adds something to the travel. You have something you take home.
Souvenirs.
Well, I never buy souvenirs. And so I create my own souvenirs in a sense. But I think going back, and if you've taken a wonderful trip to some beautiful places around the world, including in this country, it just brings back the memories every time by looking at really great photographs that you took. I think that's what excites me a lot.
Well, you have a spectacular painterly look to your images. And for people that want to learn more, what website can they go to see your work?
To see my work would be www.LynetteKent.com.
That's all one word, Lynette Kent, Lynettekent. And Lynette herself is the person we're talking to. Lynette, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you'd like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. To stay connected and receive updates from The Buzz, sign up for our free weekly newsletter now. Or you can learn more about us on our website. And thanks for watching The Digital Production Buzz.